Now, my point here is that cultures have stories. The stories hold people together and make the society function and gives people common experiences and common background. But these stories, and they are stories, okay, they're there as for, for reflection or as a hypothetical explanation. But it's part of a culture. It's not a statement of natural science. And if someone says that's a statement of natural science, they are wrong. So people who go against like Kent Hovind are wonderful. Anyone who goes against Kent Hovind, Venom Fang X is wonderful. Because the stories is the foundation of a culture. It's what a people relates to rather than what a people believe. There are those who do believe it, but they've got issues. Now, if the Bible says God created the world in 6 days, that's an explanation. And it's a story. And it's a myth or part of a mythos, which is different to natural science. What is the Hebrew? I mean the actual Hebrew words. Off my cuff, I don't know. It certainly is not a statement of natural science. If you confuse the two, you are strawmanning theism. You are strawmanning deism. You are strawmanning religion. Because your attack is purely against literalists. That's correct. It is a question of it being metaphorical or allegorical, or the basis and foundation of a culture or a society, or indeed a shared experience of a culture and a society. And do I take the Bible literally? Do I? No, I don't take the Bible literally. It's there for reflection. That's all. And it's part of a culture which is distinctly different from being natural science. Now, it is strange that, I mean, obviously you're curious, okay? I personally think it's rather strange that you're asking, unless of course you jump to the conclusion that I am a Bible literalist. And if I was a Bible literalist, would I be engaging with what the Bible, or certain passages in the Bible, regards as being evil, such as delving in the black arts? No, this is a black arts. This is evil, satanic magic. People would hate everything that I do. There are people who hate everything I do. There was an entire region of the town I used to live in that was full of fundamentalist Christians, and they wouldn't send their children to school near Halloween in case. They would assume that anything to do with like a Ouija board or anything like that is totally evil. And they would probably want me dead. I'm not kidding you. And the fact of the matter is, these people are against exploration into your own mind. One of the most important things in your own life is your own thought processes. And using, let's say, the ideomotor effect to explore how you work, what triggers you. There was a movement way back in the 60s, I think it was, called the I think it was the movement of human potential, and they, in inverted commas, believed in the use of the Ouija board, the pendulum dowsing, and the rest of that as ways of accessing the mind. See, the late 60s and the early 70s was actually quite a renaissance of occult thought, because people used the writings of Freud and Jung and said, well, this is what science suggests that we could all operate. And there's things like archetypes there, and there's archetypes in religion, there's archetypes in paganism, there's archetypes in tarot. I mean, all of these things must somehow be a part of like the human mind. And then people would like take tarot cards and they would meditate on them. There's like thousands of different types of reading cards which are out there. And there's even I Ching cards, and there's like rune stones out there, and people use them to try and find out more about themselves. But the drive towards literalism is too strong in some people, and they would rather go, many people would rather go towards literalism, even in paganism, alright, than would actually be thinking. And that I regard as being terrible. Do I like Alan Watts? I haven't read enough or watched enough about Alan Watts for me to be able to say either way. Yeah, Jung did find the same archetypes more or less all over the world. But Jung was also a crazy person who thought he was an angel from the end times or something crazy like that. He actually believed that, and that he descended into from heaven, and he thought it was Mithras or something crazy, because he had a massive breakdown. Well, it depends upon what his definition of God is. Some people say that the Englishman is the God in his own universe and worships his own creator or something crazy like that. Yeah, I've had astral projections of my soul left, or my apparent soul left my real physical body and went for a walk around, and I shared dreams with people and asked my friend later on, what did you dream of? And he told me what it was, and it was exactly the same as my dream. And yeah, these freaky things, they just happen. But science can't say anything about them, because science is arrogant. There's this thing called scientism, which is the bias and prejudice purely towards some forms of scientific method, not all forms of scientific method, not even something crazy like introspection. You probably can throw people out of your dreams. I don't know. All I've had is a few strange experiences which have led me to think that one can have strange experiences. And I choose to be, or to act in a way which is theistic because it makes sense. Now, these are my views. And basically everything, it's all up to yourself. I'm not a literal believer in God. I regard the devil as being an analogy to our own darker selves. How can acting theistic make sense? Because being a person who accepts something which is hypothetical as if it is literal and as physical as my electronic cigarette makes less sense. And using ideas which affect the human mind, or are the archetypes within the human mind, as objects of meditation and contemplation for therapeutic purposes, does make sense. And if you disagree with that, you're disagreeing with a vast body of natural science which has come out of psychology, which has come out of neuroscience, neurology, and all the rest of that stuff. You're disagreeing with natural science, not religion. And that's the thing you got to remember. Seriously. I mean, you might as well say you don't believe that the normal state of consciousness exists. You might as well say you don't believe that meditation changes the brainwave frequency, when there is enough scientific studies which prove this categorically. What science do I refer to? Psychology, neurology, neuroscience, which I studied for a year on the Open University, just for a laugh.